Chapter 2. Kate's phone chimed a notification her students were about to come in from recess, so she took a second and looked. At her phone, the notification was from that stupid dating site that Amy had convinced her to join. Inwardly groaning and silently cursing Amy, Kate read the message from some guy named Luke. She assumed it was the man Amy had swiped right on without Kate's permission. Sure, he was super hot, just as Amy had said. Well, he looked hot in his picture. Who knew how he looked in real life anyway? Kate wasn't particularly eager to date. So far, her success rate had been low, obviously, otherwise she would have a boyfriend. Not that she was looking for one, not when she'd had such bad luck with men her entire life, starting with her father, who had lied to her repeatedly, promising to spend time with her and rarely following through. Shaking her head, she opened the message from Luke. Hi there, saw your profile and see we have some things in common, want to meet for dessert. Her first instinct was to ignore the message, but as she studied his profile she became slightly curious. He was a chef, interesting, and he'd like to do many of the things she liked. Okay, maybe they did have some things in common, and maybe it would be interesting to meet him in person. She could use a diversion in her life, and if he didn't look like a soft profile she would ghost him. Irking, she set her phone aside. She would reply later, no reason to seem too eager. Besides, the bell was ringing and her students were all rushing toward the door. Luke had to admit he was slightly discouraged. The one woman he sent a message to hadn't replied, and it had been several hours. Then he rolled his eyes as a wry smile tilted his lips. She hadn't replied because she didn't know he was a billionaire. He was used to women coming to him, and if he chose to show them any attention, they were right there ready to fulfill his needs in any way he asked. They never made him wait. Waiting on this woman was good for him. Sure, he could send a message to someone else, but no, she was the only one who had sparked his interest. He would give her a chance to respond before he sent a message to someone else. Then again, maybe after swiping right on him, she changed her mind. His profile showed him to be a man of modest means and basic needs, like most men. Nothing special about his profile at all. Maybe she wouldn't bother with him. Why was he getting so obsessed over this? Phone chimed a notification. He glanced at the screen. It was from the dating app. Snatching his phone from his desk when he saw it was simply a notification telling him that someone else had swiped right on him, he frowned. Then a new message appeared, a message from the woman he'd reached out to. Kate, from Kate. Sure, let's meet for dessert. Surprised at how gratified her positive response made him, Luke immediately replied to her message asking if she could meet the next evening. After he sent it, he second-guessed himself. Did answering right away make him look too eager? He shook his head. Who cared? He was only doing this on a lark. Okay, and yet to see how a woman would respond to him if she had no idea he was a billionaire. He set his phone down and turned to work, not expecting to hear back from her for a while, because most likely she was more experienced than this online dating thing than he was, when Luke instantly replied to the message Kate had sent when she'd gotten home from work that afternoon. She was a bit surprised in her experience. The men she connected with undating apps like to remain mysterious, or at least pretend to be mysterious, by taking their sweet time and communicating. She understood the game and she played it herself, but sometimes she also found it a bit annoying. Was this Luke guy desperate? He sort of seemed like it. Maybe the picture on his profile was something he'd found online of a super hot model, because if he was really as hot as his picture, why would he need a dating app to find a date? Unless he was bored with the women he usually dated, or was a psycho, or maybe he was just so into himself that he couldn't keep a woman's interest. Why was she analyzing this so deeply? Maybe she shouldn't have agreed to meet with him. She reread his reply from Luke. Does tomorrow evening work? Besides binge watching the latest popular show on Netflix, she didn't have anything else going on, but did she want to tell him that? How interested was she? Anyway, she tucked her phone back in her pocket without answering. Yeah, she knew how to play the game. Turning her attention to grading the homework her students had turned in. As she worked, she found her mind drifting to the attractive man from the dating app. The more she thought about him, the more she wanted to meet him in person. Huffing a sigh, she picked up her phone and told him that tomorrow evening would work. To her dismay, he didn't reply right away. Shaking her head under silliness, she managed to concentrate on grading the students' papers. Later that evening, when Amy finally got home, Kate only waited a moment before blurting, "You know that guy you swiped right on for me," setting her purse on the coffee table. Amy's eyebrows went up in question. "You mean the hottie?" Allegedly. Amy laughed. "Allegedly. If he looks like his picture, then yeah, he's hot, okay?" Amy sat on the couch beside Kate. "What about him?" "He asked me to have dessert with him." "Oh." Her lips curved into an interested smile. "When tomorrow?" "You're going, right? I mean, it's not like you have any other plans." Suppressing a smile, Kate wrinkled her nose. Why would someone so good-looking have to resort to a dating app to find romance? Amy shrugged. "Maybe he's super busy and doesn't have time to hit the clubs." "True, I'm not busy tomorrow," Amy said. Kate gave her a look of sarcasm. "Do you want to meet him for dessert?" Amy snorted a laugh. "No, you idiot, I was going to suggest that I go there too, and keep an eye on things from a distance." Grinning, Kate said, "Yeah, that could be fun." "Awesome." Amy gave Kate's phone a meaningful glance before looking at Kate. "So?" Kate gave Amy a smug smile. "I already accepted." Laughing, Amy shoved Kate's arm. "But he hasn't replied, so what if he didn't? What if he'd gotten a better offer and was ghosting her?" Feeling discouraged already, Kate pursed her lips. "Give him a chance." Amy said. Kate nodded, and when Luke finally responded later that evening, Kate found herself more eager than ever to meet this man named Luke and see if he measured up to his picture.